Hey, and welcome to David's Marvelous Pigments. I hope everybody's had a good holiday break. And I know I've been busy, and so I haven't had a chance to get up any videos in the last a while, but we're back and rolling as normal. Hope you all had a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, or whatever else it is that you're celebrating at this time. More thanks and welcome back. Um, we're going to jump in here and look at our next piece that I've painted from the Wildspire Spellblades set. This is the Eldritch Knight. Um, and this is the last piece that I painted before the holiday break. And we'll get into some of the new things that I've got. I got a couple of new tools that I'm going to be using in future videos that I picked up over the holiday season. Some gifts from family and some that I got for myself. So we'll see those in upcoming videos. I'm here looking at the Eldritch Knight. Eldritch Knights are typically melee fighters that use their magic or Eldritch power to enhance their abilities, maybe wreathing their weapon in flames or electricity, giving themselves more power. When I was looking at this piece, though, he looked a little different to me than an Eldritch Knight. Looked to me more like a Necromancer of sorts. Now, in various game systems, Necromancers could be a number of things. For example, in Dungeons and Dragons, when there's a Necromancer, typically it's a type of wizard that specializes in necromancy magic. And that's not quite what I had in mind. That's not what I thought when I looked at this piece. I was more thinking of something along the lines of a necromancer from like Diablo, the Diablo 2 game specifically, the Diablo series of video games. Their necromancer is something very different than like a Dungeons and Dragons necromancer. Diablo, of course, does have a sorcerer or wizard class that deals with more arcane type of magic. However, their necromancer is a warrior that is all of its magic is sort of this macabre style dark magic dealing with decay or unlife, things along that nature. And this is the look that I got or the idea that came to me when I saw this piece. So I'm painting it along those lines. The shield with the face on it and the tattered cloak, to me, really seem like that style of necromancer. So I did those sort of a pale flesh or leather tone. And then the rest of the armor I did as a dark black, maybe like a studded leather that's been stained a deep dark color. And rather than studded with metal, I thought perhaps as a necromancer it'd be studded with pieces of bone. And so there's going to be some white pieces or highlights on the armor as well as on the shield where those spikes are along the edges. Those will be white to kind of be this bone, and then some red highlights on it as well. Now, one reason this really made me think of a necromancer, or rather, because it made me think of a necromancer, it reminded me of a class that my oldest son, and I wrote together. We actually wrote a couple of classes along with some subclasses for the standard classes in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. The classes were the Necromancer, the Shaman, and then a fighter subclass called the Beast Warrior, and a wizard subclass called the Elementalist. They were all sort of themed along sort of this idea of nature or the elemental energies and how they're connected to nature. So the Shaman and the Beastmaster being sort of the most connected to nature in the manner that a druid might be or a ranger might be. And then the elementalist connected to the standard elements, and the necromancer can maybe connected to whatever energies power the unliving creatures. So that's kind of what I thought of. I've been thinking of using this mini for is if I ever get a chance to use a necromancer in my campaigns that I'm doing, either as a player or for my players, I would use this piece as that necromancer. Now, the necromancer that my son and I made is much more like the sort of Diablo style necromancer, where it's not so much a wizard by any means. It's strictly a caster that's connected to unliving energies, or sort of the energies connected with unlife. I know in older editions of Dungeons and Dragons, it was called negative energy, but they changed that to oh my gosh, I'm just drawing a complete blank on what the name of it is. It's not radiant, it's necrotic. My goodness, sorry about that. The necrotic energies of the unliving creatures. So, and then for subclasses, we had thought at first to go with theming each subclass with a different type of undead creature. So we had like a zombie theme, skeleton, ghost, and then lastly a vampire theme. But we didn't want to go, after trying to work on that, the subclasses were less and less specifically themed along the lines of each of those undead creatures. So we changed it up a little bit and just add the subclasses named for the type of flesh or parts of like a creature that would be alone most associated with unlife. So we have flesh, we have bone, blood, and soul or spirit as the themes of the 4 subclasses. So flesh instead of zombie, bone instead of skeleton, blood instead of vampire, and soul instead of ghost. But it was a very fun class to make. If anyone's interested in looking at that, you can look it up on Drive-Through RPG. I've published the book there, and the book is called Natural Classes because of the connection with those other with nature and those other classes as well. There's also a few different kind of way of looking at how travel is done, so that ranger's ability that is typically completely overlooked, it's ranger in connection to nature sort of abilities, how you can better utilize that. And that is something that I sort of carried over into the way I worked to the shaman class. Was very similar there, but it allows. So I had some rules in there about how to handle travel that I think work a little bit better than just standard role playing every day of travel. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this piece. Again, this is the Eldritch Warrior, Eldritch Knight from the Wildspire Spellblades set, and thanks for joining us. Again, coming up here in the next little while, we'll be doing some other things for the 2025 year. Hope you guys have fun plans for the year, and thanks again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Thanks.